Hey everybody, welcome back to Battle Ready Inc., the channel all about bringing you as much nerdy content as possible. Today for you, finally getting in there and going to give you that Rune video I've been promising to a lot of you for a while now. So we're just going to jump in and get down and dirty. And as always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so that way you can see more content like this that we're going to put out in the future. Also, I've started up a Patreon recently, so if you'd like to, go and donate to that, it helps me out tremendously. I'd like to make this into a career and maybe, give y'all more videos, try to do a video a day if we can get up to that level. So that would be super cool, and any support you can give is always appreciated. So without further ado, let's see what we got here. Alright, so if you're watching this, you're probably not too sure about runes and what you should be doing, what all they do, all that sort of thing. So each rune, each one of these different colors, they all do something specific as a set. So if you look right down here in the middle, damage to set, right? And you're like, well, what does that mean? Well, for every 2 of these runes you have, you'll get this bonus. So plus 20% to your crit damage. So if you're running 6 of these, so you got one at every single slot up here, then that bonus goes all the way up to 60%. Okay, so it does stack, and that's where it gets really beneficial to run an entire set of one thing, or you can mix and match depending on what you're doing. So for my the main dragon here, the smart dragon, he's the one that you start the game with, and if you watch my intro video for beginner players, you'll know that the smart dragon is the best one for multiple reasons. So what I run on him is the HP runes here. So if you'll see, it has HP 2 sets, so plus 15%, and I've got a full set of these. Now you're like, well, why should I run a full set of just the same thing, right? Especially because some of them are sets of 4, and that's kind of what we're going to do next. Is if you look at this Swift rune here, increases the attack speed by 35%, but it's a set of 4. So you would then need a set of 2 to help balance out your build, right? So then you go and select 2 sets of, or 1 set of 2 of a different color. So that's how the set bonuses here work. Now, also, a really important thing to know is that your 2 slot, your 4 slot, and your 6 slot are all percentage runes. And what I mean by that is if you come look up here at the top left, this says HP plus 25%. Now it is at plus 15, and that's why it's so high. Normally it's like it starts out, at plus 5%, and you got to power it up, of course. And I'll cover that in a second. But if you go and look at your first slot rune, right, it's just a flat number here, plus 266. I'll go to this one over here, plus 221, and then back here, and it is a big number, 15,000. But if you compare it to like a percentage rune, this is probably going to net you a bigger gain than a flat rune. So just word to the wise, you really need to be conscious of what these are. Your 2, 4, and 6. So depending on what your dragon needs, you really need to concentrate on those areas. So again, this guy's completely decked out for health percentage. Health percentage and also just flat health. So if you go and look at my other runes on here, right, I always try to put a rune on here that has a plus HP bonus of some sort, if at all possible. You can see here I don't have any. Trying to get a better rune to put on him until then, sort of thing. So this one's already got the flat HP plus 15,000. All right, and then jumping over here to my next dragon. So this guy, he's running the Swift runes, right? So he's got a set of 4, so he completes that bonus, and then he's got a set of 2 here of the crit damage runes. Now, I wanted to point this out right here: attack speed plus 26% on the second slot rune. This is the only rune slot that will give you attack speed percentage. So if you're very insistent on having high attack speed, this is the only rune slot that you can get that on. So just word of the wise, if you're going to be farming out there, you're just farming 4 slot runes, and all you're getting is attack percentage and stuff like that, and you're like, I can't get attack speed on rune slot 4. What's the deal? I've farmed this dungeon a million times. That's because it won't drop. You can only get it on slot 2. All right, just a word to the wise there. All right, so we're gonna cover these substats here in just a second, but I wanted to kind of help you know what you should put on your dragons, right? So what runes are good to put on what dragons? So there's not like a full, how-to guide of this sort of thing. It's a lot of personal preference, but at the same time, it's also not. So what I mean by that, so this guy, he's an attack type, right? So you're thinking in your head already, okay, attack runes. So anything that's going to boost damage is where I need to go with that. Pretty accurate. What you need to also look at, though, is their skills. So you come down here to their, if you did see where I was right here, skills, and I just clicked the first one. Right? So then you're going to read through all of his skills. And this is going to kind of give you a little hint of where you should go with their runes. So right off, attacks with an ultra fast shockwave. Power is greatly increased proportionally to your attack speed. So that right there should tell you attack speed runes for sure. So speed, swift runes, that's where you're going to have to go with this guy. So I've got the full set of 4 on him, right? But I took it a step further and also made that slot 2 I was telling you about, making that attack speed percentage as well. So that just further heightens his attack speed. And for that skill he's got, it just increases his damage, more and more. But you don't actually have to stop there. You can actually continue giving him speed boosts. So I'll jump over here to my my first slot here. If you look at the very next skill, attack speed percentage, boom, 6%. So next rune, another flat rune, right, in that first slot. But then you look at the substats, right, and this is where your min-maxers really come into play. So if you really want to push your dragons to the brink of their max ability, then you got to max out your substats as well. Getting a attack rune or whatever, I mean that's not that hard. Getting your substats where you want them and what you need, that's the tricky part of this game. So, and just because they have one stat, the rest of them might be garbage, like a +7 attack flat. I mean, that's not going to do me anything. But this was at the time, the best speed rune that I had for giving my dragon more attack speed percentage. So, and that's what you want to look at for these kind of things. So again, attack percentage, I can't get a speed percentage rune here, but his the second stat in here is also attack speed percentage. This one, same deal, +10% attack speed. And the last one, only +4%, but I mean every little bit counts, right? So again, attack percentage. So this dude is a beat stick. He goes in there and just does massive amounts of damage. So that's his kind of his specialty here. Same thing, another example. Go back to the Smart Dragon. So recovery type. So you already know he's a healer. But if you came into a dragon and you didn't know what they were, then just glancing at that will help. But then also going in and looking at their skills. So again, recover target's HP and increases attack for 30 seconds. The amount recovered is increased proportionally to your max HP. So it makes sense now that I ran so many health runes on him. I could have put the solidarity runes on him to increase his defense, but I just maxed him out on HP because the higher his HP, the better his heals are going to be. So I have an HP percentage in every single percentage slot. So that's the first thing you have to do. And then you got to go in and try to get your substats up. This guy's is not very good. I'll just be honest with that. I have not found any good substat runes to put on this guy. But that's why I'm running the full set of 3 sets of 2 for the HP runes, and then all of his 2, 4, and 6s are HP percentage, just to further heighten his abilities. So yeah, when you're trying to figure out what runes to put on them, don't just look at just the recovery type, attack type, defense type. Also read their skills, because their skills will clue you in on what sort of runes you should put on them. So, if you need attack speed, if you need a bunch of health, if, you can further everyone's defense in your party by your defense. So then you're going to run a lot of defense runes on your guys, right? And just furthering that, one more I want to touch on is this guy right here. A lot of you may have started out with him, but so he's a support type, right? So I mean that doesn't really tell you what you need to do with him. That doesn't. He's not an attack type. He's not a healer. He's not a defense. You're like, that's confusing. I have no idea what to do. Again, go in and read the skills. Tell you everything you need to know. So on critical hit, allies' mana recovery rate is doubled for 9 seconds. So mana in this game, if you're at this point and you're watching this video, you're probably know enough about your mana that you got to be very cautious and conscious of it to know when to use certain skills, right? So you got to build up your mana before you execute. So having something that increases your mana recovery rate is huge. So right there, run critical rate runes on this guy. So if every chance you can use his skill and get a critical hit with this skill, then your mana fills up super fast. So a combo I like to do is this guy that you start out with. He's a defense type, but he's got an ability where his skill will lower 50% chance to decrease the target's defense for 10 seconds. So each hit, and this attack has multiple hits that hit the enemy. So I hit them with that, and then I jump over here to lower their defense, and then I hit them with a heavy attack from this guy, and then all my mana just recharges super fast. So that's just a personal combo I like to use. Alright, so if you made it this far in the video, then you're probably going to watch it, hopefully for the rest of the way. So I want to go ahead and show you a little trick. This button right here, it doesn't even look like a button, it's just an eye. Then this little diamond here, if you click that, this will give you all the information you need on different runes, right? So if you go to rune number here, so in your first slot, it'll always be just a flat attack buff, right? The second slot, these are your options that you can get for your for rune number 2 here. So there's attack speed, like I was telling you, percentage, and then your other basic ones, attack, defense, HP. Always be flat defense for number 3, 4, right here. You got your main 3. This is where you get your critical rate and your critical damage runes is going to be in this 4th slot. Then your flat HP, and then the last one here, again, you got your trifecta, and then effect accuracy and effect resistance. Again, I'm not a fan of those, so I don't really run them. If I get them on a substat, cool, but I am starting to see the benefit of effect accuracy a little bit more here lately, but I just feel like maybe running a straight attack or whatever is a little more beneficial. But just in these runes here, this is your main original core set. The thing is, though, there's actually a whole nother set of runes that if you're watching this, you probably don't know about. So you got your regular runes here that you've seen throughout the game, but then there's also ancient runes. So can only be found in the Ancient Runes dungeons, which has higher level than the Nightmare. So once you beat the Nightmare, then you can start doing the Ancient Runes. And that's when you start getting these super specialty runes here. I'm not saying that they're better than the flat runes or the regular runes. I don't mean flat runes, but just your standard stat bonus runes. They just do special things like meditation, gain 1 mana every 12 seconds. So that's kind of a big deal. I mean, if you had a full team all using a set of the meditation runes, you're probably going to be spamming out your skills a lot faster, and especially running your 3 mana cost dragons. Might be beneficial to run these on those guys. I don't have the math on it on what would be better, because again, if you take a set of 4 meditation runes, then you're going to be giving up your bonuses. So if I was to run that, a set of 4, I'd lose out my attack speed plus 35%, which could really hinder my the other dragon I showed you earlier, the green one, the jet dragon, I believe it is. So counterattack, survival, and you can come in here and read all these or pause the video and read. Um, but these are pretty cool stuff here. Very specific, very situational. But if you hit this point, you probably got a vast selection of dragons, so it might benefit you to have a specialty team for handling special tasks. All right, here is an enhancement chart for you. So I actually didn't explain this, and I should have already. But so if you see my runes are all at plus 12 on this guy, right? That's because I've gone in and hit enhance here. So I hit enhance, and I just do it. So that way it does it automatically, because if it fails, I don't want to have to keep clicking this on my own. So then I don't know why it's doing this, but this past week, it's awful. I hope I'm not the only one. And it goes up, right? So it increased my rune, the main stat up here. Every time it goes up, it'll increase this main stat. However, every 3, 6, 9, and 12, you'll increase a substat. Now, if you don't but it'll be a different substat. So if you only have one, then at 3, that 1 will go up. So if the crit rate was all I had at like a 3, and I hit a plus 3, it would go up to the 5 like it is now. Now, the thing is, though, every time I go up to 6, 9, and 12, it's going to add a new substat. So I won't ever get a chance to increase this one again. But that's at just the common basic rune. If you have a higher rarity rune, so if you'll see these, they're in blue here, then this already has 3 on there for you. So you actually have a chance of that same substat going up multiple times. So the 3, you could have HP go up. On the 6, the HP can go up again. So when you have normal, rare, and there's even higher ones, of course, then those substats could go up multiple times. So late game, when you're really min-maxing and you're getting 6-star, I don't know, like legendary runes, right? So they've already got all of their substats already laid out for you, so that way you know what has the chance of going up. And say you want just attack percentage, and there's an attack percentage in there. Every time you level up, that same substat could go up. So you could take like a flat, attack rune that has a attack percentage of like 6, right? And by the time you're done, that substat is going to be way more beneficial than your main stat on here. So that's just kind of how substats work a little bit more in depth there. We'll jump back in here. And so this is just a chart for you. So you got normal, rare, hero, and legend. So, and yeah, there it is. So add sub option. So this is just where it gives you a new substat because it's a normal rune. You only get that one shot there. And then if you go all the way up here to legend, then you start out with all of your substats. So you have a chance to increase one of those predetermined substats every single time. And then yeah, your plus 15 greatly enhanced main option. So I usually will take a rune all the way up to plus 12 just so I can see how the substats kind of end up. And if it's really worth taking all the way up to plus 15 because my substats are really good, then I will do that. But going from a 12 to a 15, that's going to cost you a lot of gold. So just warning there. Don't over invest in a rune that you don't plan on keeping. Okay. This is kind of cool. It just gives you the Nightmare Dungeon drop rate. You can see here the level 1 is only going to give you 2 and 3 stars, and 3 stars only at 10%. So, 1 out of every 10 runs you'll get a 3-star. So definitely do not farm this. Level 6 isn't that bad. You have a chance for 6-star runes. I mean, if you just can't get over the hump of level 7, then you could technically farm this, but you still have a big chance of getting a 3-star rune. Level 7 is where it's at, though. If you're just getting into it, then you could farm level 7 decently. However, if you look over here, you only have a chance to get 1 and 2 slot runes out of that. So while number 6 gives you a chance to get any rune, not necessarily beneficial, just because you're going to get a lot of 3 stars, whereas this one will give you guaranteed 4 stars or higher. It's just only going to be in those slots. So just gradually work your way up, and once you're able to get to level 10, then of course that's going to be your farm spot for getting high runes, high star runes, and with those in those slots you need with those substats. I don't know if it would really benefit you to farm this, farm level 10. Honestly, what I would probably do is just because if you look over here, the percentages are still the same. If you're looking for like a certain 4-slot rune, right? Just farm level 8. Okay, don't worry about farming level 10. Farm the specific slots you need. Okay, so just gonna kind of leave it at that. And same thing for your ancient runes here. Um, Pretty interesting. That doesn't go lower than 3-star, which is kind of nice. Um, but look at these percentage rates. These are your specialty runes over here, right? And then you do have a chance to get your others, your regular stat bonuses. But the specialty runes are such a low percentage chance of dropping. I mean, at their best, it's like 7.5 here in this beginner. These are hard dungeons, right? Ancient ruins, I mean, that's where it gets serious. If you're way down here farming, I don't know why you're still watching this video. Because you know probably more than I do at this point, because I can't farm this on any account anywhere. So, but yeah, so again, level 6 right here. This is going to be the your prime spot. So you get a decently high chance of getting um, 5-star or higher, and also 5-star or higher on your regular runes. And it's for the full slot for everything here. Okay. So going from 5 to 6, you completely chop off the chance of getting 4-star or below. So this is where you really start seeing the benefit. And if you look, all these go down. The percentage goes down, right, for these low ones. But it does go up for the 6-star, which is cool. But you're like, well, why would the percentage go down? Because your percentage over here goes up for your specialty runes. The whole reason you're farming this specific dungeon is to get these specialty runes, okay? If you're trying to get these, you probably don't even need to run this. You can go back to the nightmare. All right. Again, these dungeons are where you're going to get your runes. You can get them from campaign mode, but they're not going to be as strong as the runes that you can get in here, okay? And I mainly mean that for your 5s and 6-stars, because I don't believe you can get 6-stars anywhere in the campaign. So speaking of that, we'll jump over into the campaign, or adventure mode, sorry. Alright, so you can come in here, select your chapter, so normal, hard, and your hell mode here. So we'll just jump over to 6. So 3-star Swift runes. So this whole section here will give you Swift runes. I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but so first battle will always be your first slot. Second battle will always be your second slot rune, and so on, right? You're beginning to see a trend here. And this is on the case for everything. That's why every single zone you go into has the same number of areas, same number of nodes in that area to defeat. So 1 through 6 is your specific runes, but then when you get to 7, you have a chance to get any of your runes there. Also, you get the most experience here. So if you're farming, then I usually come in and farm, if I can, one of these zones. But then, so go to the next area, and so at 7 is when the stars go up, all right? So if you're going to be farming, try to farm from 7 on, right? So if you're only in the first zone, or not first zone, but you're only in the first difficulty of normal, then farm in this area because it's going to give you your 3-star rune. So a little bit better than what you're farming over here. Now, if you're at that point in the game where you're in the hard mode, you're somewhere down here at 11 or 12, and you can't quite seem to get over these because of the element advantage or whatever, then come back and farm these zones here to get better runes for your dragons. Okay, get 4-star runes on them at least. I don't really recommend taking a 3-star rune all the way up to, especially not to 15. Even 12 is kind of pushing it. I've done it just so I get that extra substat, but that's because I couldn't farm the other areas. So it was in 11, right? So I think this is Solidarity. Okay. I think it's 12 then that's Swift runes. Yeah. So I couldn't farm these areas to get my 4-star Swift runes. So I had to go and get garbage 3-star runes. But I got the good stats and everything that I needed. Just they didn't have as good of a ceiling. What I mean by ceiling is if you take like a 1-star rune all the way up to plus 15, then your percentage is going to be like a plus 12%. Now, if you take a 4-star rune all the way up to plus 15, you know, it's going to be in the 20s and 30s for your percentage. So that's a huge difference there. So make sure that if you're going to take a rune all the way up, that it's a rune worth taking up, okay? And then same thing, if you go up into hell mode, so it's going to start out at your 4-star, but then they're going to start dropping excess things for you. Okay, so 2 runes here, and also you're going to get stuff like this, which I don't really see the point unless you really just like the way your baby dragon looks over how awesome your adult dragon looks. So that about wraps it up for this. Again, just wanted to cover most of the basics to give you a better understanding, a more in-depth guide than what I put out in previous videos where I just kind of skimmed across it. Just kind of highlighting for you again. So each of your set bonuses give you different, make sure you get a full set of whatever it is. So if it's Swift, it's make sure you get 4 of that color. Or if it's a set of 2, make sure you get 2 of that color. And so you can do, you know, 2, 2, and 2, or 4 yellows and like 2 oranges if you want to go that route. But make sure you go in and check your skills, because your skills are going to let you know what you need, okay? So don't just see recovery type and be like, okay, he's a healer, so I can just do whatever on him. Oh, he's an attack guy, so I just need to put straight attack percentage runes on him. It's not quite that straightforward. While that is effective, it doesn't take much effort just to go in and read their skills right fast and see what you need to put on them to further heighten their abilities. Again, pay attention to your substats, because if you need a bunch of attack percentage, there's more than just running a Swift set and then having a 2-slot attack speed percentage rune. Your substats on your other runes can also benefit you here. So make sure you try to get at least 1 substat of the one you need, but it wouldn't hurt to get more substats. So I've also got like crit rate on this one, right? He's an attacker. Higher crit rate is always beneficial. So stuff like that is a good idea to pay attention to. And lastly, I just want to cover this page here. Well, all of these pages. If you ever need a good reference, you can do it right here in game. Right, it'll tell you, you know, what runes do what and what you have a chance of getting. So, you know, slot 2 here will always be these guys, and slot 4 will always be have a chance to have these guys as their main stat on that rune. So if you're like, well, can I get a crit rate in my 6-slot rune? Well, you can come into this page and check. Also, your percentages for drop rates, just so that way you know what you can get potentially out of a dungeon before you go in and spend, you know, 500 wings farming a dungeon, right? Farming a level 4, and you're over here trying to get, you know, a 1-slot rune, because you're completely wasting your time farming for the wrong one. So, also just pointing out that I really don't recommend farming anything below level 4, because you have a high chance of getting a 2-slot rune, where you just go into the campaign or the adventure mode, right, and get a better rune. And you can specifically pick the one you want, basically. You can go in and always farm for a 3-slot Swift rune. So, things like that. Alright, and with that, I hope you liked this video, guys. I've been promising it for a long time. Make sure you give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to try to put out more content. I want to cover more dragons a little more in-depth for you, kind of like what I did with the runes on these 2 main guys here that I had. I would like to kind of go in and show you some tricks that you can do with each dragon that's out there. And that'll take some time, but you know, if you continue to support me, I will try to my best to support you. And with that, we'll see you in the next video.